Need you to understand everything that we see happening with Palestine is nothing to fucking do with a Jewish birthright or a land for the Jewish people. Palestine is so fucking rich in oils, natural resources, minerals, all the shit the West is running out of and needs to keep going as a society. And may I remind you, Israel was created by the United fucking Kingdom and it has been upheld by the Americans. When you look at the big players involved, what the fuck do you think's going on? It's they are so happy to genocide the fuck out of the Palestinians because for them it's their new business playground. Listen to this. Jared Kushner, Peter Thiel, and Larry Ellison, so that's the dude who's just bought the American part of TikTok, are planning to turn Gaza into a haven for billionaires, with a city of tax-free startups with scattered server farms for cloud processing and artificial intelligence, and factories with cheap labours and simple regulation. Ellison is ready to put in $350 million into this plan per Israel's Channel 12. So that's basically like a news channel. I feel so fucking angry and sad right now because I made these astrological predictions about America and what's going to happen to it. And, you know, I've said a lot that astrology could win the downfall of colonialism, and it begins with the downfall of the American empire. And I put out these specific predictions. I said, number one, that there will be these technological environmental disasters, which in hindsight now are going to be these data centers, and they're going to completely wreck the fucking land, right? Then following on from that, the economy would collapse. Like the way that they make money, banking, financial institutions, by the 2030s, they're either going to be really outdated and basically of no use, or not profitable, or just working the way that they need to. And then everything they fucking described in this article, I outlined for America, right? And what I think realistically is going to happen is America is going to collapse and they are going to try to use Palestinian land to take kind of who they deem as wonderful citizens and place them there. So like the idea of like a United States of Israel. Does that make sense? However, as mentioned, astrologically, we are in the downfall of colonialism and Israel will end in our fucking lifetimes. Like every prediction I've ever given you has always turned out to be correct. So I wanted to outline the disasters that we see happening in the 2000s and 30s. And then I want to talk about ways that we can fight it and how do we stop them in Palestine. Let's go, hibiscuses. I want to begin by looking at the astrology of the 2000s and 30s. So that decade kicks off with Gaza, a planet which symbolizes imprisonment, but also different kinds of losses. And really interestingly enough, unprocessed karmas, right? So whatever you've been up to, if you think you've avoided or whatever, that shit hits you like a fucking truck, right? Now, the 2000s and 30s, Gaza's going to be going through the 9 different types of Taurus. Check this out. So it's going to begin in Migashira, which essentially is Taurus type 8 to 9, but that is heavily associated to animals and environmentalism, right? So I literally think by the 2000s and 30s for America specifically, and maybe chunks of like Western Europe too, something's gonna happen where the land basically is no fucking good, right? And then you're gonna see it more in the animals it's killing or like a change in nature. But then it's gonna lead to Rohini, which is Taurus type 4 to 7, and that's everything to do with agriculture. Then I think we're actually going to start seeing real life fucking food shortages, but in a way that's hard to recover from. And like, I think even in the 2000s and 30s, in the first 2 or 3 years, either it's going to be like some form of rationing or we're going to have to like kiss goodbye to certain crops. The other thing is it's going to be opposed by Rahul going through the 9 types of Scorpio. I think something around weapon manufacturing or something like that will contribute to some sort of environmental disaster. After that, I want you to consider Rahu, a planet which symbolizes like crime, technology, disruption, disaster, the beginning of turmoils, going through the 9 different types of Libra. So essentially, for me, the Libra nakshatras symbolize different forms of technology, business, enterprises, and obviously like parts of media, entertainment, and politics. This is where I had the heaviest prediction that essentially data centers there's going to be loads of scandals around them, but they're going to physically cause harm to the environments, the people, because simultaneously, Gator's going to be going through the 9 different types of Aries, which create like a health crises, right? So I was like, it's so realistic to say by the 2030s, because you've got to think about this AI trajectory they're on. You've got to think about how many colonial empires are like failing, so they resort to war because the only way they know how to make money is from like weapon manufacturing, all that fucking kind of jazz. And across the West, like England has it, in India they've banned it. Basically, at the moment, all across the world, big tech companies are trying to win contracts or like land rights or whatever so they can build their data centers, because essentially everything's malfunctioning systematically. It doesn't make sense, so they need more land, water to do whatever they want to do, right? And they're doing that now. The point I was trying to make is, look, astrologically, we are now in the downfall of colonialism, and the reason it fucking collapses is because the way that they do business, the way they are used to making money in an exploitatory way, the way we never escaped slavery, colonialism, and imperialism, they just reshaped it, right? But all that fucks up, right? And because a colonizer only will ever have one mentality and one attitude, they're not going to take accountability, nor are they going to reform. So going back to that piece of Israeli news that I just shared with you, don't you think it's like they're going to try and basically enslave their own people, exploit their own lands? It's going to backfire in their faces. It's going to create disasters that they're not going to be able to manage, nor they're anticipating. And then they're going to try and fucking run and take back land, right? Do you see where this is going, hibiscuses? However, again, astrologically, we're in the downfall of colonialism. So it doesn't matter what they do, it won't be fruitful. It will always be fictitious and it will always blow up in their faces. So I want to analyze the transits we're going through and the ones that are coming up with how we can make sure they are not successful or able to advance further in their really fucking nasty genocide in the name of fucking business interests and greed and wealth. Number one, currently Rahu's going through the 9 types of Aquarius. I'm being fucking serious when I say plague the internet with fake data, right? They're weaponizing your data to work out what movements to suppress, where to go, how to change food prices, all that fucking jazz, right? Start putting in fake internet searches. Start giving them false information, because then it makes it harder for them to read the room and understand how to basically put out propaganda, how to appeal to people, and even how to attract people to invest in these fucking things they're going to want to do. Also, currently, Gazel's going through the 9 types of Leo. Go and look at my last TikTok video. But we are actually in the perfect fucking storm between now until the end of 2030 to start electing completely new parties, right? The parties that we're used to voting between, red and blue, in all the different country versions of that, they're not going to exist in the coming future. Because from the 2030s, and dare I say 2028, 2029, we elect new individuals that have completely different politics, radically different from whatever we've seen, and they put a real fucking, like, I don't know, like they stop the plans, or they create much more friction than our current leaders do. I want to talk to you about Saturn going through Taurus, because simultaneously when Gazel's going to be there, so is Saturn. So as described, 9 types of Taurus are all about agriculture, environment, business, all that kind of jazz. I'm being really fucking serious. Fuck off buying from big supermarkets. Literally, open up a fucking greengrocers, buy fucking locally, go directly to the farms, pick up your fruit and veg. But you know the way we're decreasing how much shopping we do online or completely stopping it altogether, and how we're going back to physical media? We need to apply the same pressure to our produce and our foods. Even like our food chain supplies. Let me know if you want a separate video, because this is a very lengthy topic. And as always, support local businesses, build it up, build community. So in England, we have something called a high street. I've always been a very big advocate in them. And even me, like, I don't buy anything online anymore. As soon as we started boycotting and I started learning more, I was like, the only way I can ensure my money is going hopefully to good places is to give it back to the people in the community I share with. And since then, been thriving, Hans. I encourage you to do the same. I think you'd be surprised at the impact it can make. Likewise, let's talk about farming and food production. Now, I appreciate not everybody is out here wanting to grow their own tomatoes and buy a cow, but really get into community gardens. And if that's not your style, then as I said, farms. People who do it, support them, buy from them, learn from them. Around the 2030s, there's meant to be some kind of tech revolution. Not sure how to put this, but long story short, we're reclaiming the internet. But when we reclaim the internet, we also change where those data centers sit, how many are actually necessary, and how we even use products. For fuck's sake, I'm short for time. create a separate video on the tech revolution. All that fucking destruction is avoidable. Let's keep applying the pressure and evolve